bam! This is the first time ever the Batman 1966 TV series has ever been released on home video of any kind. And
it is crazy how long we've had to fucking wait for that to come out.
Yeah, but here it is. It came out last November, so this is kind of delayed, actually. We've been trying to find time to do this simple video for months now.
You know how long... Well, not just us, but like everybody's been waiting for this. I remember as a kid watching the show on TV. Everybody watched it on TV and reruns.
In the 80s, they would rerun it a lot.
In the 80s, yeah. But...
Even now, but...
I remember going into the video store, and all the classic shows, 60s shows, were on TV. Twilight Zone. You could get any episode you wanted on VHS, rent it from the video store. Star Trek. Rent them all from the video store. Batman, where was it?
Yeah, the movie came out on VHS and DVD, but
because the movie was owned by a different company, right?
Yeah, the 1966 movie, which is basically like the TV series, but you know, feature length. The show has always had some kind of legal difficulty because more than one company had some kind of say in it.
Along with the show finally coming out, all the rights got taken care of, so they started to be able to release actual other products. There's been comic books now, there's been toys, and I saw these. These are the Batman and Robin Hot Toys.
These look amazing.
These are the best toys I've ever seen of Batman and Robin. Like, if you look at Adam West's face and Burt Ward's face, look at that.
It looks just like him.
It literally looks like Adam West is standing here in the room.
You're holding a miniature Adam West.
You know, so it's awesome that after all these years, I think in the 60s when the show was on the air, there was Batman toys back then, but to actually see 1960s Batman toys and Batman comics and stuff like that is awesome.
Basically, because of this, you can finally throw away all your bootlegs. Because that was the only way up to this point. If you had the series taped off television, you know, people have copied it to DVD. There's been bootlegs flown around for
all
years
these
and years and years.
Yeah, people have taped it off of FX because it played a lot on there, and then those bootlegs had been going around.
Yeah, and it makes you wonder, why did they not put this out early? Like, no matter how many companies have a say in it, like, why not they all get a split? So yeah, it's like, you know,
well, they finally did.
Yeah, they were losing all that money all those years, and now
it just took them a long time to figure it out. They're like, oh yeah, we could make money off of it.
Say two companies own something. That's, you know, 50% for each one. 50% is more than zero.
Exactly.
So just get over it.
They finally realized that. They're like, oh, if we don't release it at all, we don't get anything.
Yeah.
Oh, let's at least get half.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. I'll take half.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, I don't know what happened.
It took them like 50 years to figure that one out.
Yeah. But whatever the case, they got it straightened out, and here it is. It's an awesome package. This is kind of pricey, so I can see not everybody, you know, just being able to fork over, you know, a bunch. But it's every episode of the whole entire series.
Well, to get this, but it is also available divided up into smaller sets.
Okay, so you can get the smaller. So this is like the collector's edition.
If you want the whole series in one thing, yeah.
Comes with a deck of cards, actually.
Yeah, the deck of cards kind of disappointed me, I will say. I mean, it's a great idea to have a deck of cards in here, but it's not a real deck of cards. Like, I'd like to be able to open up and play cards with like Batman characters on it. Yeah, that's not what it is. It's just like, it's like artwork on there.
Yeah, but when does cards usually come with Blu-rays anyway? So
that's true. I mean, it's a cool thing regardless.
The Batmobile, you got a little tiny Batmobile in here.
That's cool. Yeah.
So it's always cool when they throw in the extra stuff.
Batman was filmed on film, and when it is, they can go back to the original film prints and, you know, remaster it like that to make it look amazing. And they did that with Batman. And when I used to watch it on TV as a kid, you're watching it on a CRT television, and it's from a signal, and it looks like shit. You know, that's the way I remember it.
Imagine the 60s, what it looked like.
Yeah, right. I can't imagine.
Yeah, I mean, not to skip ahead, but it was one of the early color shows, and it was like,
I bet a lot of people didn't even have color sets, so a lot of people were probably still even watching it in black and white.
There actually, some people were, but that was one of the things to get people to buy color TVs. It was like, look, you know, you got to see Batman in color. The color on the show is so beautiful.
It is.
It looks like comic book pages come to life. There's really good bonus features. I think, if anything, it's worth it just for those. There's one called Hanging with Batman, and it's Adam West just talking about, you know, what it's like being Batman and everything, and it's really cool to see him talk about it after all these years, because I've always thought that maybe he's sick of Batman at this point, because, you know, all these years being known for just Batman.
He's not like that. He loves it. Yeah,
like he really did show a lot of genuine love for the character and for what he did and for what, you know, he's known for. There's also a really good one about memorabilia. There's all Batman collectibles and stuff. And now, even though this show is really popular, there's still, to this day, people love this Batman. But there is also a lot of people who only like the dark Batman, who want Batman to be more adult. But I feel like it's important for there to also be a kid-friendly Batman. And this is that, because this show is very...
I take a little issue with that, because yes, it's absolutely appropriate for children. It's a great show for kids. It's actually probably the first TV show I ever watched, I believe. So you're absolutely right in that. But I want to make it clear that I don't think that this is a show...
it's not just for kids.
That's just for kids, or for kids at all, really, because
there are some adult jokes in it.
There's adult jokes in it, but I think adults can watch the show and should be able to appreciate the humor of the show just as much as a kid. Like, I don't want people to think that, like, it's like a Nintendo thing where it's like aimed towards kids. It's not. Like, it's totally for adults.
It was everybody. Like,
yeah.
When this show,
exactly, it's for everybody.
When this show came out, it was as big as... There were the 3 Bs in the 60s. This is what Adam West says in the extras, that there was the Beatles, Bond, and Batman. It was that big. Like Batman was everybody. But nowadays, like, you need something that's okay to show your kids. I'm not going to show my kid, Michael Keaton Batman. Like, I'm going to show her, because that's, too adult for her now.
Or Heath Ledger slamming a pencil into somebody's eyeball.
Yeah, definitely not. Not yet. It's like, there's certain things you don't want to show kids yet.
Yeah.
Some people think Batman needs to be exclusively dark and adult. It has to be, like, really serious all the time, and it doesn't. This is a different type of Batman. Well,
I will say about that, it is cool to have the darker Batman, like the Tim Burton or Chris Nolan style Batman, or like the way a lot of the comics are. You would not have any of that if it wasn't for...
no.
I mean, I know. First of all, I want to say, of course, there was like the 1940s serials. There was the comics dating back to the the 30s and the
but nobody gives a shit about Bob Kane anymore. Now it's all Frank Miller. And,
right. But the thing that really popular, actually, the Batman comics.
I give a shit, just to make it clear. I do.
Me too. But the Batman comics were really in decline, and I heard that they were thinking of canceling the Batman comic by that point. But then this came on.
Yeah.
Saved the day.
It revitalized it at that point.
Like you said, Beatles, Bond, Batman not only revitalized it, but became one of the most popular things in history.
It put it into the mainstream, because before that, Batman was more like a cult thing, and this really made Batman a pop culture thing.
So for one thing, if you do like the darker Batman over this type of Batman, fine.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
But you have to respect that this Batman is the one... you wouldn't have any Batman without this, number one. Number two, I feel like a lot of the people that like the darker Batman don't get it. They just don't understand. It's a different thing.
And that's okay, but that's exactly what I wanted to say. Exactly what you said was just that it's okay to not like that Batman, but you have to respect it, because... It's like nowadays you hear a lot of times people just shit on it, like they just dismiss it completely.
It's always just that can't be like
that can't be thing. And look, is the show silly? Yes, there are lots of silly moments.
It's purposely silly, and it's purposely funny. And I think a lot of people watch it assuming, like, oh, this is going to be a superhero show. I'm going to see Batman the way, it is with Michael Keaton and the way it is with Dark Knight. And then you watch this, and it's nothing like that. And I think people are like, what the fuck is this shit? This is so corny. This is not, like, cool. It's not... It's a fucking comedy show.
It's a comic book.
Yeah, and they were They were trying to make it like comic books were at the time. And comic books in the '60s were very, colorful and bright, and it was literally like bringing comics to the screen.
Yeah,
that's what they were doing at that time. It's a brilliant show.
Yeah, I mean, it's really a lot better than you make it out to be, really. Like even me, like, it took me watching that now, and I actually did. I actually watched through every single episode of that. I didn't think I was going to. I thought I was going to watch maybe 10 episodes and then be like, okay, I got my Batman fix, I'm good. I actually watched the entire series just now. I have not seen that much Batman since the 80s, since I was a kid watching the reruns on TV. And after all this time, I didn't think it was going to hold up that well. I thought, like, oh, well, it makes a lot of good I mean, I respected it still, but I was like, well, I remembered it mostly for the silly stuff, and it makes a lot of good internet memes, but actually watching it made me remember how good of a show it really is.
Once you can get beyond the fact that, okay, yeah, it's a comedy, and it's going to be, you can laugh at it and all that. Once you get beyond that and you're actually watching the show, it actually is a pretty good superhero show. It's just that's the style of it. It's kind of funny, it's kind of goofy, but when you're actually watching it, it is still Batman. Yeah. He's up there with the Batarang, he's doing all that shit, and it's he's always getting himself into situations, and you kind of find yourself getting into it, being like, oh, what's going to happen here?
Yeah, I still get into the detective part of the show, where Batman's always having to figure something out with Robin, and there's also a lot of science babble in it. There's a lot of
that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's very far fetched, but the stories actually do entertain. Like you follow it along, and it's a very entertaining show, where when you're watching it, it kind of puts you back when you're a kid, and as a kid you're just taking it serious. You're not thinking like this is a goofy thing. You're just thinking like, yeah, like this is this is the way it is.
Yeah, Batarang, Bat Computer. Yeah.
Although on the internet it's a lot easier just to look at those short little funny parts and kind of because it takes more time to understand it and get into why it's a good show.
You click on a link on YouTube and you see Batman doing the Bat-Tusi, and it's like, oh, that's a goofy show. But when you actually watch it all in context, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.